Alrighty, good Sunday evening, Arkansas. This is Assistant Chief Forecaster Cameron back here once again. To give you guys a live stream, going over all the good old information, going over the winter weather event coming up as we get towards the Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. And boy, I've been doing this since 2014, and I want to say this is probably one of the most difficult forecasts that we've had to tackle, especially for our folks in central and southern Arkansas here. So let's go ahead and start you guys off with this. It's the current winter weather alerts across the state. We do have that winter storm watch in effect for much of northern and northwestern Arkansas as we get towards first thing Wednesday morning here. And I do fully expect that these watches will likely get extended out as time progresses here. But the biggest thing I want to remind you is just because you're outside of the watch doesn't mean you're not expected to gain any snow. So just kind of keep that in mind. We're still about a day or two, a little bit early in the game. So they're getting the watches and stuff out. And I do fully expect, as I mentioned before, that it's going to get expanded within time here. So that's the biggest thing I wanted to go over right out of the gate. And then once I've gotten that out of the gate, let's talk about this. So this is going to be our first look into what we're potentially looking at as we get towards Tuesday and Wednesday. And I mentioned before, I've been doing this for almost 10 years, and this is one of the most difficult forecasts that we've had to pinpoint because so many things can go right and so many things can go wrong at this point. So as of right now, I have gone with, like I said before, I don't like leaning on one particular model over the other. But the European model has been extremely consistent on what its overall thinking is. So this map is like 30% of that, and the other 70 is our other general thoughts, looking at the other computer model data, going with the pattern, and kind of giving you guys an idea. So that's the reason why it may look different versus you may see somewhere else, is because we're actually taking the time looking at every potential scenario and combining all of that into one graphic here. So obviously, folks up there in northwestern Arkansas and the Ouachitas and the Ozarks, that's where the heaviest snow potential is going to be in those areas here. And we could potentially be talking about some areas getting close to a half a foot or even a foot of snow being possible up there, especially in the Ozarks. So something that we're going to keep an eye on over the next day or so. I haven't pulled it in the forecast as of yet, but something that we're definitely going to watch over the next 24 to 48 hours here. Now, the forecast is pretty much certain for our folks up there in northern Arkansas and northwest, but the question mark becomes bigger as you move into central and as you move into South Arkansas because of the fact that we could potentially be dealing with what we call an including low, kind of moving into southeastern Arkansas to may try to throw a wrench in that scenario here. Now, what I have done with this map, and I mentioned before with the European model has been consistent. You had all the computer models with different ideas. The European model has been just steady the entire time, and that kind of consistency cannot be ignored, even if it's just one model. So keep that in mind here. But what I've done is I've gone from the Queen to Arkadelphia, to Little Rock, up to Jonesboro for the all snow potential as of right now. But I want to urge caution. One shift to the north, and you go into cold rain. So keep that in mind for our folks in Central Arkansas. Like I said, I get it. Everybody's excited, want to see winter weather. But you got to realize something too. Winter weather forecasting is not for the weak. So I'm urging you guys right now in Central Arkansas, you're right there on that line. Right now, I'm going more snow versus cold rain because I do believe we're going to end up on the snow side of the line versus the cold rain. So at this moment, that's just something I'm going to keep an eye on here. But Central Arkansas, you're right on that teeter line right now. So just something that we're going to keep an eye on over the next day or so. But further to the south from Blytheville all the way down to Texarkana, I've got mainly a cold rain, but you guys could end for some light snow, especially for our folks closer to northeastern Arkansas. We're talking the Blytheville area, near Memphis to Brinkley, over towards the Stuttgart area at this time. And then obviously further southeast from there, you go into a cold rain. But I mentioned before, we're going to keep an eye on the situation over the next day or so as we get more computer model data in, as we get the HRRR, all the short range model data in, and also we'll be able to look at surface hops by that point as well. So just something that we'll keep an eye on at this current time here. Now, here's the graphic that everybody's been warning out of us over the last couple of days, and I have not felt confident in posting until just now. So at this moment, at this given moment, For our folks up there in the Ozarks, I have not pulled the 6 to 10 just yet. I want to see a little bit more agreement before that happens. But I would say this, if current trends does hold for our folks up there in the Ozarks, I will probably go 6 to 10 first thing in the morning. So something that we'll keep an eye on at this time. But right now, I think a 4 to 8, locally higher, could be possible up there in the Ozarks, also down into the Ouachitas as well. Northern Arkansas, as I mentioned before, you guys are solid up there in terms of the snow potential. I'd go almost 100% at this time, given that you're even if the low pressure decides to go into southeastern Arkansas, you guys are still game on for snow up there. So North Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas, if you're up there at this point, you're good to go in terms of the snow potential. But as I said before, you go further to the south and east, that's where that question mark becomes bigger because of what could happen with this surface zone. And I'm going to talk about that here just shortly. But what I've done is from basically just to, I would say, just south of Walnut Ridge, down to Conway, over to Walden, I've gone 2 to 4 inches for now. And like I mentioned before, this is our first look graphic. And it's not a 100% guarantee that it's going to happen. It's just our first kind of take on what snowfall totals could overall look like. Keep in mind, we still got to get through tomorrow. We still got to get through tomorrow night. We still got to get through first half of Tuesday because this is not going to start until Tuesday evening and into Tuesday night and end first thing Wednesday morning. So keep that in mind. We still have a good 24 to 36 hour range where the forecast could go either direction at this point. So just kind of watch it closely at this time. Now down to the metro. We're talking from Hot Springs to Little Rock to Searcy to Mount Ida to Mena up to Jonesboro. At this moment, I've gone with about 1 to 2 inches of snow, and those totals could either go up or it can go down dependent on the track of the low. The low's track right now is so uncertain, it's not even funny. You go further southeast from there, near DeQueen to Daisy to Arkadelphia, up to Blytheville, you're talking a ½ an inch of snow if you're lucky, and maybe even at a trace even further southeast from there. And then obviously from Magnolia, El Dorado, Camden, over towards Monticello, Lake Village. So you guys have been dealing with the tornadoes and the severe weather. Unfortunately, you guys are not going to have any sort of winter precipitation with this unless the European model verifies. And we're going to talk about the Euro here in just a bit. So why is this forecast so uncertain? What is causing all of the uncertainty right now with this forecast here? And first and foremost, if you guys like this graphic, let me know. It's very new to us. But basically, we've drawn out why is this so uncertain for us here in Arkansas. So your low pressure develops in southeastern Texas. Okay, some guidance has it as far south as the Brownsville area. We're talking far south Texas, western Gulf of Mexico. That happens. That will really help your cause in trying to get this snow to come further south. But anyways, your first snow develops just south, not your snow, your first low develops just to the south to Dallas, I'd say near the Austin area, and then it moves northeast. But what ends up happening as it moves eastward, the trough that's coming in associated with the storm system begins to eject out, and it causes things to what we call include back in Arkansas, as you can see with that purple front right there. So what will happen in that particular situation is, and I should have drawn this out on the map as well, the warm air advection that's down here along the Gulf Coast where you have the severe threat, by the way, that warm air advection is able to go over the warm front and it's able to be transported back into Arkansas. That's why you have the cold rain potential from Memphis all the way down into southeastern Arkansas. So that's what's causing the uncertainty right now in terms of where is that snow line going to set up, especially for our folks in central Arkansas. North Arkansas, you are solid. That's what we're getting at right now. North and west Arkansas, you are solid at this time. It's just central and southern and eastern Arkansas where the biggest uncertainty remains at this current time here. So how can we get this snow to move further to the south? How can we get this to move down into southern Arkansas or even in eastern Arkansas and pretty much put central Arkansas as a 100% guarantee that we're going to see it? Well, a couple of things need to happen. First and foremost, you need a European model solution to happen. You need this low pressure to develop in southeast Texas, and I mean far southeast Texas, near the Brownsville area. Take a Gulf Coast track. You don't need to go into Louisiana or anything like that. You need to go along the Gulf Coast, develop, and then you can see what the occluded front still develops, but it's in far southeastern Arkansas, northeast Louisiana, and the Mississippi. This is where you're going to have at that point. So just kind of keep that in mind this time. We're going to watch that close, but that's how you get it further to the south. Now, another caveat I want to throw at you guys as well, if this doesn't include, and we've seen this happen in similar situations in the past where Guidex was trying to do that and it ends up kicking out and doesn't include at all. So if that were to happen, you remove the included front, you remove the secondary area flow pressure, you talk about a massive event for much of Arkansas, with some areas seeing upwards to a foot of snow being possible across the area. So that's another scenario. I think that scenario is very, very unlikely at this moment, but something that we're going to watch very closely here. But for those that are wondering, how do we get this thing to move south? We need this system to go further south, and you need the trough to not eject out so fast. You need it to be an open wave, and I'm going to show you here in a little bit with guidance. You need it to be an open wave versus what we call a bowling ball low, because if it ends up being a bowling ball low, it's going to include, and you're going to have an area flow pressure that's going to develop in southeastern Arkansas, and that's where you're going to get the cold rain potential items, because that warm air is able to transfer back in Arkansas, and that's how you get the cold rain set up here. But for north and west Arkansas, you guys are solid right now. You guys are pretty good in terms of the winter weather potential here. But from central and down into southern Arkansas, that's where the uncertainty remains here. So I'm going to leave this up for just a little bit, and I'm going to tackle some questions here because I know everybody's kind of wondering, about certain areas and everything like that here. So northwest Arkansas, you're good. You're solid right now. So therefore, you got the winter storm watch out at this moment. I think you guys are probably going to end up being under a winter storm warning before time. Before it gets too late tomorrow here. So why do they issue watches early? To kind of give you a heads up, especially for those that are going to be traveling in that area. They do those winter storm watches early. That way, folks that are, got plans on Tuesday or Tuesday night and in the Wednesday morning, they're aware of the situation. They're aware of the winter storm potential. And that's why they put it out so early. And then it eventually gets upgraded to a warning with time here. So everybody's asking about Holly. I'm gonna get back to Linda's question in just a little bit. Do you think it'd be cleared off and good for travel by Saturday? This is going to be an in and out system, and if you do get snowfall accumulations, you should be good to go by the time you get towards Thursdays, because the temperatures are going to warm up behind the system. This is not a February 2021 repeat. I know somebody on social media has already posted about it, saying it's going to be a repeat of what happened in 2021. That is not the case. You will not have sub-zero temperatures come in behind this system. That is not going to be the case. Yes, it's going to be cold, but it's not going to be as cold as it was back in February 2021. So that's just debunking that right now here. But for travel-wise, I would say first thing Wednesday morning and throughout the day on Wednesday, especially for those that see the significant snowfall accumulation, watch out for travel. This is a system that's going to have marginally cold temperatures, so your temperatures are going to hang around 32, 33, 34 degrees. So it should not impact the roads too much unless you start talking 30, 31 or something like that, below freezing. That's when it starts impacting the roads. But as long as you stay above freezing, the roadways will be fine. It's just the grassy surfaces, the elevated surfaces. Those are the areas that you just kind of have to keep an eye on here. And it really depends, because if you, especially areas in northwest Arkansas, if you see those heavier snowfall rates, that's where road travel can easily become hazardous, especially Tuesday night in the first part of your Wednesday morning. But beyond that point, you should be good to go for travel at this current time here. So everybody was asking about timing. Linda, your question just got completely buried in there. But to get to your question, at this moment, specific timing, I'm going to have a timing map for you guys first thing in the morning. Biggest thing is just remain patient. Like I said before, everybody's trying to get the timing out and everything like that. We're learning about the situation as much as you guys are learning about it. So remain patient with us. We're trying to get it out as quickly as you can. But at this moment, I just don't have the confidence to put a solid time map out right now. We just have to keep an eye on it. But I will say anything after lunch on Tuesday going into 6 a.m. or actually take that back, about 9, 10 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. So repeat, after lunch on Tuesday, all the way to about, I'd say, lunch on Wednesday is where you're going to have that time frame for seeing the snowfall potential, and that does include Central Arkansas at this current time here. So the Halls play Morgan. I see your comment. Halls play Buttonwalt Walton Stadium up there in northwestern Arkansas in Fayetteville on 6 p.m. on Tuesday. We'll see. I don't know how travel is going to be for those folks up there in northwestern Arkansas by that point. It just depends on how much snow they end up getting. But right now, it just depends on the roadways and stuff like that. We'll see if that game kind of lasts at this point here. So, no one question I keep getting: are we going to see more winter weather after this event, folks? Let me make this perfectly clear. This is not the end-all, be-all for winter. This is not going to be our last event. You guys know this by now. We get these same questions every year. You know, we have this event and someone doesn't get snow. They think winter's over. No, it's not the case. We still got February, we got March, and we got the first half of April. We are not done with winter just yet, folks. I'm just going to tell you guys that right now. We're not done. So if you don't see anything right now, be patient. We will have more opportunities, especially next month. You guys know how February goes. And in March and stuff like that. So it's not our last winter weather event, but we'll keep an eye on it at this current time here. So the accumulations at this point, let me go back over to the accumulations real quick. I'm going to leave this up, and then I'm going to get to the Euro here in just a little bit here. Yeah, I saw the GFS cave to the European model solutions. Very interesting. I'm going to leave this up for a little bit, kind of give people a time frame of looking at this. And by the way, folks, this is going to be posted after the live stream and stuff like that. Make sure you join our Facebook group. A lot of people have joined in. I think we have over 1,000 people on that group already. It gets past the algorithm. You can see our posts and stuff like that. And by the way, it's on Facebook, so you don't have to worry about jumping platforms or anything like that here. So, yes, we're going to be watching out for school closures as well. Julie is on the screen right now. Up there in Jasper, I'm going 4 to 8 right now. Locally higher amounts can be possible. I do believe first thing in the morning, I'm probably going to pull it 6 to 10 for your area. So just kind of keep an eye on it. And I think you'll probably be ending up in a winter storm warning by the time we get towards late tomorrow here. So number one question I've gotten about is as well: are we at risk for severe weather with this? No, 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 no severe threat. There's not going to be a severe threat with this setup because, first of all, temperature is going to be way too cold to support a setup like that. And then secondly, the warm front, as you saw earlier on in the map, is down on the Gulf Coast. Those areas are going to see the severe threat. We don't have to worry about it here in Arkansas. So I can't remember where I saw that, but we're not expecting any severe weather here in Arkansas with this. This is going to be primarily a winter weather event, or even in some cases, for some folks, a winter storm in place here. So let me see here. I'm going over all the questions right now here. What about Conway? Same thing. Conway's on the map, guys. 2 to 4. And the biggest thing is with these graphics, everybody sees the color, but they don't see the information. You got to read the graphic. You got to read the information. It's all there. Everything's customized, stuff like that. So all the cities and stuff like that are on there. So just keep that in mind, guys. Okay. So let me see here. So Ashley, that is the number one question. Ashley, let me get back to you in just a second. Breen, yes, we do plan on going live tomorrow. So just going to talk about that real quick. So Ashley, let me get back to yours. Let's jump over to the Euro real quick. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can switch this over. There it is. So let's get over to the Euro. And the Euro's consistency is no one thing I'm noting right now because, like I said before, you had other computer model guidance with other different ideas where the European model has been kind of steady with its overall general idea. And I've seen Euro do this before in some previous events, and it's done excellent with it. So that's why our forecast kind of leans with it a little bit because of the consistency, and it hasn't budged or anything like that. As a matter of fact, with the Euro, I do believe it actually came a little bit further south, especially with the 18Z this afternoon. Compared to the other runs here. So this is the European model, and this is what I talked about before, where your area of low pressure here. So you can take a look at that. It goes from East Texas into southern Mississippi, which is pretty still decent track across the board. But notice something. You don't have any kind of including low or anything like that. It's just a main low pressure right in here. So you've got a good amount of snow from central Arkansas, Little Rock's right here, by the way, from central Arkansas, north Arkansas, west Arkansas, and even in some cases, you have it down here in southern and southeastern Arkansas. So if the European model were to verify, a lot of people will be happy with this setup here. And then you can see what happens. I mean, boy, look at there. I mean, it does include back into Arkansas, which would rob southeastern Arkansas. But And Andrew, if you're in this live stream, we talked about this earlier. The storms along the Gulf Coast is going to be our best friend here in Arkansas, but our worst enemy for our folks down there in Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida, because those severe storms are going to be ongoing by that point. I can actually show you that real fast here. Give me 1 second. And we can show you the lightning intensity with this. So there's the storms along the Gulf Coast, down here in Mississippi, Alabama, Florida. Those storms, as they go severe, are going to be drawing that warm air advection from coming north. It's going to keep that warm air advection down there along the Gulf Coast. So what does that mean in all layman's terms? Trying to make it simple for you guys. That means that it will really help us out here in Arkansas. This is what we call a cold air advection versus a warm air advection battle. And which side do you end up on? North Arkansas, you're obviously going to be in the cold air side of this. So you're going to be seeing the snow. Central, eastern, and southern Arkansas is where the battle is going to be. The battle line is going to be drawn. And which side do you end up on? Do you end up on the cold side, or do you end up on the warm side here? And this is what the Euro does. There's your area of low pressure down here in southeastern Arkansas. Bottoms out, by the way, really starts to strengthen over here. But you can see the deformation band really setting up from Little Rock down to Nashville over towards Mena over here. You've got Fort Smith, Fayetteville. The higher elevations is just getting slammed with heavy snow as well. So this is what it's wanting to do. And like I mentioned before, the European model solution has just been a brick wall. It's been steady for the entire last couple of days here, and I haven't seen it change much over the last couple of days as well here. And then what ends up happening by the time we get towards Wednesday morning, this is not rain, by the way, that is snow more than likely, and it gets out of here by the time we get towards lunch on Wednesday here. So let's talk about totals. And I mentioned before, I know everybody's trying to focus on that certain number. Don't do that right now because you're still a little bit too early right now. We'll have a much clearer idea tomorrow on accumulations, but this is what the European model does, and you can see where the European model, and I can do this real quickly too. Let's jump back to this. So there's our accumulation map where you have the higher totals in the Ozarks and the Ouachitas, and then you still have our general area, and you can see what the European model does. It's just a tad bit further to the southeast, and you can actually, if you go with the Euro, down here in southeastern Arkansas, you may get lucky to see a trace upwards to a ½ inch of snow down there. So just something that we're going to monitor very closely here. But like I mentioned before, we can't just go off of one particular model because it has the most snow. You have to account for every single piece of data that is out there. Now let's take a look at the NAM. And this is what the NAM want to do. And I'm stressing this right now because somebody's going to post this and it's going to go crazy. Up there in northwestern Arkansas, take these totals with a grain of salt. Don't expect these totals to happen because you see this a lot with the NAM and the GFS. It goes, ballistic with the snowfall totals, and they end up not happening, and a lot of people end up being disappointed. So keep that in mind here. This is what the NAM model wants to do, and obviously, it just went ballistic up there in northwestern Arkansas, but it does include central Arkansas as well. We get 4 inches of snow here in the metro. Higher elevations get smoked with snow. I'm almost 2 feet of snow up there. And if you were to go with the NAM, but I'm just discounting it right now because of how unbelievably ridiculous it is at this point. So that's the NAM model solution. Let's take a look at the Canadian model real quick, and this is what the Canadian model wants to do as well. If I can get this to load up, and it's pretty reasonable. It still includes central Arkansas, and I want to reassure you guys, especially like here in Little Rock, a lot of people are wanting to snow here and stuff like that. The biggest thing is you want to be on the cold side of this. You don't want to be on the warm side because if you're on the warm side, you're not going to see anything. Southeastern Arkansas, you guys down there for now are cold rain, but if the European model solution does happen, we'll have to wait and see if we can get this thing to get further south and east. And that's something that we're going to continue to monitor over the next 12 to 24 hours here. But this is what the Canadian model is wanting to do. Still heavy snow up here in the Ozarks and the Ouachitas down here. And I'm noticing what the Canadian model is doing in the River Valley. I disagree with this to an extent because, yes, it does trap your warm air. But the problem is you're on the backside of the low. So your cold air advection is still going to be able to seep down into the valleys. And you're still going to be able to get a good amount of snow in those areas here. But just a generalized area, we're pretty confident in the Ozarks and also in the Ouachitas down here. It's just the question mark is much bigger for our folks in central and in southern Arkansas at this current time. So Let me see here. So, Ryan, great point as well. No. Luckily for us, the temperature profiles at a loft or in what we call a column should be more than sufficient for snowfall versus ice. Initially, when I first saw this setup about 2 weeks ago, I was concerned about a freezing rain setup because there was a battle going on between the Southeast Ridge and the Arctic Ridge. But fortunately, the Arctic Ridge won. We ended up on the very cold side of this, and you've got snow. So I'm not really too concerned about ice potential. Now, I will say this. I will keep an eye on Tuesday morning, especially if temperatures end up busting, which I'm willing to bet they will because you've got northeast winds, cloud cover rapidly moving in. So if temperatures end up busting on Tuesday, then what will end up happening is you may experience some light rain, some light sleet, or actually, as a matter of fact, maybe a little bit of freezing rain if you're already below freezing or at freezing. But it should just quickly move through and you should rapidly transition over to snow. I'm not really expecting this to be a full-blown ice storm at this time here. Now, Alan, to get to your question, you're going to love the Euro. Like I mentioned before, the Euro is everybody's best friend right now. It's that one guy in the group that's just cool with everyone. And you've got the GFS and everybody else that's just, having different ideas. So the European model is very interesting. And I'm addressing this right now because of what it's wanting to do. So take a look at this. This is 9 p.m. Tuesday night and early Wednesday morning. This is instability. This is what we call surface-based CAPE or the fuel needed for severe storms. But you're not going to get severe storms if you're in the 30s. So what will end up happening if the European model were to verify, you would run the risk, especially, let's go over to your precipitation real quick, especially in this banding that would set up from Little Rock down to Nashville, down here in southwestern Arkansas, you would have that shot of hearing a few rumbles of thunder if the European model solution were to come true. So that's something that we're going to monitor. Way too uncertain to go out and make a map about it right now. But we'll keep an eye on it, especially if the European model solution ends up being, the end-all, be-all for this event here. But at this point, it's something we can keep an eye on here. Now, Jonesboro up there, northeastern Arkansas. Whew, you guys up there are the most trickiest area to try to forecast outside of southeastern Arkansas because it ties back to this. And I'm going to go back to this map real quick. And I made this map earlier to kind of talk about this because what ends up happening, trough jets out, your low includes back to the northwest. What does that mean? Well, like I mentioned before, your warm air advection comes off the Gulf of Mexico. I got tongue-tied. Goes off Gulf of Mexico, is able to come in the southeast, and you have that brief period where you have southeast winds going into Arkansas, which is your worst nightmare if you're trying to get snow because you don't want southeast winds. You always want northeast or north. You can still get snow and northwest winds, but it's pretty dry and powerly if you're getting it from the northwest. But most times you want, our favorite wind here in Arkansas is northeast. You never want southeast winds whenever you're dealing with a winter setup because it will always lead to cold rain. But what ends up happening is you can see with the low, you get southeast winds into Arkansas, especially in eastern Arkansas, and it cuts you guys off over there. So Jonesboro right now is about as big of a question mark as it is down there in southern and southeastern Arkansas. But I still feel confident enough to say that you guys will experience snow here. And the biggest thing is, and I'm going to keep an eye on this because this is what the Euro is attempting to do, is have the system further to the south. And your occluding low goes through northeast Louisiana and Mississippi, which will actually aid you in getting snowfall here in Arkansas. And I do believe, if I'm correct, I'm going to double check with the Euro, I do believe that's the reason why you run the risk of thunder snow as well, because of how dynamic the system is going to be if that were to be the case. So we'll keep an eye on it right now, but at this moment, I do believe the snowfall potential is still there for the Jonesboro area. It's just the question marks right now is ridiculous. So, Donna, as much as the Euro has its moments where it could be, like I said, everybody's best friend or everyone's worst enemy. That's just like with any other computer model. It did pretty decent last winter, especially with the ice event and stuff like that. It did pretty recent, and it does pretty good with any sort of winter event here. Now, the number one thing I want to urge is consistency, and it doesn't matter if it's the Euro or the GFS or any other kind of model. You always want to look out for trends. You always want to kind of see what happens like throughout the couple of days before you get to the event. The GFS has flip-flopped so much, it's not even funny. The NAM model's done the same thing. You know, the Canadian model's done the same thing. But the euro has been a flat line the entire time. As a matter of fact, if there's been any change with the euro, it's actually gone a little bit further to the south versus going north. So it kind of stands as the, hey, I've got this idea, don't ignore me, I'm saying this right now. So it has that idea of wanting to do that, but right now you can't just go with one model and ignore the others. You can't do that, because if the euro ends up failing, then the European model solution, even how consistent it was, it doesn't matter at the end of the game, right? So keep that in mind. I don't like using one model or the other, but it is noted, it is consistent with the idea of it wanting to bring the snow line even further south down into southern Arkansas. So something that we'll keep an eye on at this point. So I don't know about how much yeah, that was Conway. I'm going to go back over to accumulation. I'm just going to leave it on this because the majority of the questions right now are accumulation. So I'm going to leave it on this, and then I'm going to answer the questions while I'm here. So now, Andy, I talked about this yesterday, and you made a great point. I was actually getting ready to talk about that. It's just trying to answer everybody's questions and stuff like that right now. So the potential Monday night and early Tuesday morning, you have to watch that close, because monogamous is not going to be your best friend. And this is getting to the point where you're fixing to go what we call a nowcast situation, where you just throw monogamous out the window and you're just stuck in front of a computer screen looking at surface ops the entire time. So what will end up happening in that scenario, Monday night into Tuesday, is you clear out, your temperatures would just basically tank down into the 20s. And then what will end up happening by the time we get towards Tuesday, cloud cover comes in first thing in the morning, and it holds your temperatures at bay. And I've been talking to Derek, he's our chief forecaster here at Arkansas Weather Watchers. I've been talking to him, and you have northeast winds on Tuesday. Northeast winds, cloud cover. If you are a weather enthusiast, you know what those two ingredients mean in terms of temperatures. It's going to bust. Those temperatures are not going to be as warm as computer model guidance is trying to throw out right now, which could, like I said, throw another wrench into this forecast. So that's the biggest thing right now, something that we're going to keep an eye on, especially Monday night and the first thing Tuesday morning. But that's something you have to keep an eye on, is the cloud cover and the potential northeast winds first thing on Tuesday, because that could easily throw out your forecast right in the window. And if your temperatures are able to bust, and your temperatures are actually colder than expected, then even if the low does include in the southeastern Arkansas, I have seen situations where your temperatures are just cold enough to support snow, even if you have the low in southeastern Arkansas. So just something to keep an eye on here. There's a million questions with this event right now. So the number one question is, which outcome is more likely to happen? That's a question that I'm trying to figure out. The majority of the weather community is trying to figure out right now, and we won't likely get that answer until Tuesday. So I will say this just from experience. I don't want to say the European model is going to be 100% perfect. It's going to be, it's going to nail it down to the actual T, but I will say this, how consistent has it been. Last time I saw it being this consistent with a brick wall like this, I do believe it was the 2021 event. We had it last year with the ice event, where it was just throwing out the winter weather threat, and all the other models kind of threw it out. So I'd say right now, any scenario is on the table, but I'd say the European model is the model needs to be watched. It needs to be watched at this point. Don't take it as, it's definitely going to happen, but it needs to be watched. That's the model of concern at this point. So now, great point, Lori. That's a great point. So with the occlusion southeast wind, wouldn't that make the western half get more snow? Yes. Yes. As a matter of fact, if that were to happen, the heavier snow totals will be seen from the Queen, the Mena, to over towards Mount Ida, Daisy, upwards to Waldron. Right now, I haven't included those areas, and this is just a first look at the accumulation map. But I do believe if that were to be the case, that would help you guys out over there in western Arkansas, because obviously you get the northerly winds coming in, and that will cool your temperatures off, and that's how you would get the snowfall potential over there. So great comment. You're absolutely 100% correct about that. That will help western Arkansas at this point. So fingers crossed with accumulations and Jacksonville, stuff like that. Mainly everybody's asking about accumulations. This is what we have at this point. 7-day forecast as of right now. I'm not going to do it. We'll probably resume 7-day forecast after Tuesday because we're focusing all of our attention, all our time, kind of getting you guys the most accurate forecast for Tuesday right now. But once Tuesday's passed, we'll go back to the 7-day forecast, go back to regular scheduling. But this one right now deserves as much attention as we can potentially get with this one. So let me see here. Yeah, that was the so, Mark, all the models and precipitation shield have shown large swaths of snow to the river valleys, to the lesser accumulations down there. I just don't believe, and I do agree with you. I know model guidance can be kind of, the river valley is very difficult to forecast as well because the warm air tends to get trapped down there. This particular situation, what you guys have in northerly and northeasterly winds that will counteract that warm air, even if it does try to get trapped in the river valley. And I do think that will help with you guys seeing snowfall over there as well. And like I mentioned before, these snowfall accumulation maps, this was a first look. It's not a 100% guarantee this is going to happen. I'm fully expecting to change this map probably 3 or 4 times before we get to Tuesday. So that's the biggest thing. We're just kind of taking a look at everything right now, kind of a first glance. And then we get more confidence, and you guys will see the updates once we get it out here. So I'm supposed to go to Fayetteville Wednesday morning for the doctor. I'm going to tell you this right now. I would be very careful. If possible, I would probably change those plans because Wednesday morning, everybody's going to be trying to, everybody's going to have the same idea of trying to get out Wednesday morning, and it's not going to end well, especially if they're Northwest Arkansas. So if you can, I would try to reschedule your appointment or anything like that. If you can't, that's fine. Just use extreme caution Wednesday morning here. So, yes, Russellville is right there at 3 cents at this point. Central Arkansas right now, for the Russellville area, I have you at 3 cents. But in Central Arkansas, the Little Rock area in particular, I have you at 1 to 2. Conway, I have you right now at 2 to 4 at this point here. And I may do some more work on this graphic. Thank you guys for that. So, let me see. Can we just stay home from work? I wish I could tell you that. So what do I mean about temperatures busting? What do I mean about that? Basically what ends up happening, let's take a look at this. I think I'll be able to explain this a lot clearer if I use a random computer. I'll just use the Euro for example. So let's go to Let's go to Tuesday afternoon. So Euro's wanting to throw us near 50 degrees on Tuesday. Well, I have a little caveat to that. If you have cloud cover, northeast winds, and your temperatures are pretty cold, I mean, I'm talking 20s first thing Tuesday morning, well, what ends up happening is unless you get some sunshine to peek out Tuesday afternoon, you won't see this. You'll probably, the real temperatures will probably end up being 37, 38, 39 degrees, or even in the most extreme cases, probably upwards to 42, 43. Eastern Arkansas, I do believe the Euros want to throw out some sunshine over here, which will help you get near 50. And then what ends up happening is cloud cover takes over, your temperatures drop, and you end up in the 30s over here with snowfall across Western Arkansas, and Northwestern Arkansas. And we can take this out even further, and I do believe you can see what the Euros want to do. I mean, it is way south with this, man. Look at down here in southwestern Arkansas. You have that little bit in southeast where you still have that rainfall. But the majority of the state, temperatures 34, 35 degrees. And I've had a lot of comments thrown at me about this as well. You can still see snowfall at 34, 35 degrees. The myth that you don't see snow at 34, 35 is just that, a myth. You can still see snowfall at 34 to 35 degrees. All it does, it just it dictates your road conditions. Like if you're going to see, hazardous travel or you're going to be okay to travel here. But that's all it does. You can still see snowfall at 34 to 35 degrees here. So what about the wind? I'm using the Euro right now because it's been so doggone consistent. But let's talk about the wind real quickly here. And as of right now, based off what I'm looking at here, I do see 25 to 30 mile per hour winds. Don't expect a blizzard out of this. Just don't even expect a blizzard out of this. If you see somebody make a blizzard graphic, just ignore it. It's not true. It's not going to happen. But I could see 25 to upwards to 30-mile-per-hour winds. In order to get a blizzard, you have to have 35-mile-per-hour winds or greater for over 3 hours. That's how you get one. But in this particular case, you're not going to get one because it's so localized, it's not even funny. A generalized area would be 25, some extreme cases up to 30. But this shouldn't cause any massive power outages or anything like that. If it does happen, it's very localized at this point, but I'm not expecting any massive power outages at this time here. Wind gusts look to be about 25, like I said, extreme cases upwards to 30 miles per hour here. So, Justin, you need this thing to come south. Let's talk about that real quickly because everybody's trying to wonder if we can get this further to the south. So how to get this to move further south, you need a storm system to move further south, and you need this including low down here in southeastern Arkansas to either do two things. It either does not develop at all, which if I have seen situations like that, especially during severe weather, where the low was supposed to include and it never happened. And if that were to be the case, you throw the entire forecast out the board and you get a massive snowstorm for much of the state. But let's go on the situation that you do get the including low. Well, what ends up happening is you need this thing to be in Louisiana and Mississippi when it does decide to include, because yes, it would cut off the two counties down there in Ashley and Chico County, but the majority of the state would still see snowfall at this point. So that's something that we'll keep an eye on here. But I will say this, and I'm probably going to be the only one to tell you this. If that low does not include back in the southeastern Arkansas and you just get a main low down here and that's it, I would say look out. I would say look out. I mean, I'm not gonna make a graphic about it or anything about it right now. Just personally, I'd keep an eye on it because I have seen situations like that happen before where this thing doesn't include. And because your trough, basically the only way you get it to not include is you need this thing to be a, and I'll show you real quick the Euro. I love using the Euro. The Euro's been doing amazing with this. It's getting my props right now because of how consistent it's been. But let's take a look at this, and I can show you this real quick. And this is going to be, let's send this out. How do you get this thing to not include in Arkansas? So take a look at this. So this is the Euro. This is your storm system, the one that's going to produce the snow. Well, you need this thing to stay what the Euro's doing. It's broadened out. It's not closed or anything like that. So what it's doing is it has that storm system tracking from southeast Texas through Louisiana and through Mississippi without it including back in Arkansas. Well, actually, I think it does still include because it tries to close it off, but it doesn't really fully successfully doesn't. So that's why you still have the snowfall potential for much of Arkansas. But if this does not close up into a main low and kind of remains broad and open, that's how you get the snowfall potential, and that's how you keep this thing from including back in Arkansas. It stays along the Gulf Coast, and then you have a Gulf rider. You guys know this full well from our previous winter storms. You know how the Gulf riders are. It's a classic winter weather setup for us here in Arkansas, and that's how you can get significant snowfall totals here. But like I said, just right now, it's way too uncertain to go off of that at this point. So let me see here. Lori, thank you so much for that. We try to keep it as straightforward and as straightforward and straight to the point as much as possible here. We don't hide or anything like that at this point. So let me see here. So Nicholas, I don't want to say it's gonna happen with the cutoff. You need this 500 millibar low to be broad out. You don't need to be let's take a look at the GFS. And I am aware the GFS has caved to the Euro as of the 18Z run, and you can definitely see why, because it's not even a closed low anymore. But let's take this back all the way to 18Z of yesterday, and this is what it was wanting to do yesterday. Now notice something: the main difference between today and yesterday is yesterday it still had that area of low pressure closed off. You don't want this closed off, because if that closes off, then your low down here will include back into this system, and that's how you get cold rain here in Arkansas. It cuts out any cold air from surging south. But if this opens up, and you can, like I said, pay attention, because this is 18Z yesterday, and this is 18Z today. And notice something: as soon as it loads up, give me 1 second, let me click on it. Is it gonna do it? Yeah. So notice something from yesterday into today. Let's go back here. So there's yesterday, and there's today. Notice something. With today's run, it's opened up. It's not so much as that closed little low pressure like it was yesterday. It's opened up and it's caved to the Euro solution. So let's see what ends up happening with this. The NAM model, as of now, does the closed low situation. This is a 0Z, which is going to be interesting to see what happens with the 0Z data. But let's go ahead and take this out, and you can see what it does. So there it is right there. Okay. Now I will say this with the NAM. It has that similar solution to the 18Z of yesterday with the GFS. Remember what the GFS did today? It broadened out. So that's what we need this to do. We don't need it to be a closed low coming through, because what will end up happening is low will occlude back, and then that's how you get the cold rain potential. And also you need this thing to come over the state and not just to the west, because if it comes through the west, then eastern Arkansas, you're done. You're just going to get a cold rain and be done with it. But if this thing comes over the state, then what will end up happening is you will end up being with the snowfall potential at this point. So I hope that answered your question, by the way, in terms of the snow cutoff at this time. So yeah, I love that comment as well. Folks, we talk about this as severe weather. It applies to winter weather, anything like that. You got to learn your counties. And I understand a lot of people are not, not from Arkansas, haven't been here a long time. But reach out. If you have any questions, let us know. But that will really help with reading the map and answering the questions at this time here as well. So let me see here. Let me go over that. Yeah, that was, and Lori, I agree with that as well. Those temperatures really did bust today. I mean, I think at one point, Model Galaxy had us up near 50 degrees today. And I was like, no, that ain't going to happen. I think here in the weather center, we got up to 44, 45 degrees at max. So I'm going to go back over to this. And like I mentioned before, I'm just going to leave it on here because a lot of people are asking about, precip. Let's go over to the accumulations real quick. And for those that are tuning in, trying to figure out what accumulations look like, this is what it looks like at this point. So trace to half an inch from basically northeast Arkansas, that's just south of Blytheville, all the way down to Brinkley to Stuttgart, all the way down to Hope to Texarkana. I'm going to say this right now. If the Euro continues on its overall solution, I'm probably going to bring this south, given the fact that the Euro has done a really excellent job with this event so far. But we'll keep an eye on that. But here in Central Arkansas, the one question I'm seeing right now on our board over here is, what does Little Rock look like? What does Conway look like? What does Searcy look like? This is the totals right now. We've got 1 to 2 inches here in Little Rock. It's going to depend on the overall low placement. If it's further to the south, you have a much higher chance of getting to 2 to 4 or even greater from there. But if it tracks further north, then the trace to half an inch will come into Central Arkansas, and you may not even see anything at all. So keep that in mind. But the focus right now, Ozarks, Ouachita Mountains. If you're planning on going up there, I would get ready, because you may see a foot of snow up there before it's all said and done by the time we get towards Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. And to answer all the timing questions as well, keep this in mind for right now. Like I said before, a timing map, I can't even give you a timing map right now because of how uncertain the overall timing is right now, but I'll give you a broad brush on the timing right now. Afternoon on Tuesday, we're talking 1 o'clock on Tuesday to 10 a.m. on Wednesday morning. That is going to be your time frame for seeing winter weather, and that goes for everybody that's in the winter weather threat right now, not just specific areas, but for the entire area that's in the winter weather threat. From after lunch on Tuesday to 10 a.m. on Wednesday morning. That is all Tuesday evening, all of Tuesday night, and Wednesday morning. If you're planning on traveling, I wouldn't recommend it, because everybody's going to try to do the same thing, and it's going to create havoc on the roadways. If you got to go to the grocery store, especially if you're in northwestern Arkansas, do it tomorrow. First thing, try to go to the grocery store tomorrow. Save yourself time on Tuesday, because you don't want to get this out. Try to go out Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon with precipitation moving in, because it's just going to lead to accidents on the road. So make sure you're taking care. Make sure you're staying safe out there. If you're planning on traveling, if you don't have to travel, I wouldn't get out, honestly. But if you have to, if it's a must thing, you have to get out. Be careful and just use that caution on the roadways, guys. I really don't want to see a ton of accidents come Wednesday morning here. So with the wind chill, I don't think wind chill is going to be too big of an issue. It's not going to be too big of an issue with this event. Like I said before, this is not a 2021 event. I don't know who posted it, but somebody on social media has probably made a comparison from this event to February 2021. I'm going to stand on this hill, and I'm probably going to die on this hill. February 2021 was a generational event. That does not happen every single winter. It does not happen here in Arkansas every single winter. It was a rare event. I will be heavily surprised if we repeat that anytime soon. That's how I'm going to stand with it right now. If it happens, then obviously we'll tackle it. But this is not going to be a February 2021 repeat. We're not going to have the wind chill problem or the below zero temperatures or anything like that. That event that happened back then in 2021, I'm standing on that hill, was a generational event. And we probably won't see that for a while. So, yeah, Cam, I agree as well. This is a very nowcast situation. I mean, that's how we do it. That's Arkansas style. Is nowcast situations. Model guidance. I think the Euro right now is going to take it home, if you want my honest opinion. But the other computer models right now are still trying to get close to that idea. But we'll keep an eye on it here. But let's take a look. Let me go back over to the GFS here. Don't worry, I'm going to bring back the accumulation map here in just a little bit. But folks, I want to stress this right now. If you miss it on the live stream, it's not the end of the world. We will have this on the page. To repeat that, we're going to have all the information on the page and in the group and stuff like that, so you're not missing a thing. I'm just going over everything right now here. So this is the GFS. This is the NAM, by the way. I'm going to go over to GFS. And you can see the NAM trying to do the same thing. But look at the difference, by the way, between the GFS and the NAM. I mean, an instant shift to the east with the GFS model here. And what it wants to do, it still does the occlusion, by the way, but it cuts the snow line just southeast of the metro, right to Texarkana. So basically where we have it right now, heavy snow for our folks up here in northwestern Arkansas, and then it lifts out of the area by the time we get towards first thing Wednesday morning into Wednesday afternoon here. But something that we'll keep an eye on at this current time here. But like I said before, it's still trying to do the occlusion. I will see if this continues, if this trend continues over the next couple of over the next 12 to 24 hours here. But here's the totals. Like I said before, don't focus on just a certain amount. And this is the one frustrating thing with winter weather, is everyone focuses on that one particular amount, that one number, and when you don't get the number, they get frustrated at us. That's not the case. You should always have that mindset. That's why we don't do specific numbers. We do a broad brush, because it kind of gives you an idea. Like 2 to 4, you may range around that area. Or, you know, in this particular case, you got the GFS, you're talking almost a foot of snow, which I still think it's out of the park with it, but we'll keep an eye on it. But that's what it does here in Little Rock. You can see from Jonesboro to Little Rock. Let's see if I can zoom this down even further and give you guys like a statewide view of what we're looking at. So that would be basically, here's Little Rock right in here. So you're talking a good 1 to 2 inches of snow, maybe some localized higher amounts. Obviously, you're going to have to cut this in half out here. So you're talking probably a half foot of snow if you go with the GFS. And right there along I-30, there's the I-40 corridor. So from I-30 to 167, basically anyone southeast of that area, you're just going to see a cold rain if you go with the GFS. Anyone north and west of that area will see snow, potentially accumulating snow with the GFS here. Now, you can obviously see there's the GFS, and then there's the Euro. The Euro is coming further to the south with this. As a matter of fact, let's take this route all the way through. And that's what it does. It brings this snow line all the way down in southern Arkansas. So we shall see what ends up happening with that here, okay? So, like I mentioned before, I'm going to make this perfectly clear for everyone. After lunch on Tuesday to 10 a.m. on Wednesday, I know everyone wants specific timing right now for specific locations. It's still too far out for me to do that. I cannot do that right now because we're still waiting on a convergence on timing. I get it. It's just as frustrating for you guys as it is for us. But this is what we call a patience game. This is what we do, and we deal with this with every winter weather event. It's patience. We got to have patience here in Arkansas. But for right now, timing at this point, from after lunch on Tuesday to 10 a.m. on Wednesday. And repeat that, from after lunch on Tuesday to lunch on Wednesday. That's the particular timing for the snowfall potential here. And like I said, once we get closer, which will be tomorrow into Tuesday, we're going to have specific timing maps and stuff like that. But at this given moment, given we're still a little early, I can't give you a specific timing map on when to exactly expect it at this point. So let me see here. So great question, Logan. Do you expect the winter storm watch to extend further to the south? I'm going to tell you this right now, no. It's probably going to be winter weather advisories here because there's so much uncertainty. Now, I have seen situations, Derek has seen situations before where we've gotten a winter storm warning or something like that on the day of. And you notice what happened in December as well, where we had no advisories or anything like that, but the day of, we got put under winter weather advisory or something like that. So they tend to wait. Like I said, it's not us that issues the watches. It's LZK or National Weather Service in Little Rock. They tend to wait till they have a better idea, just similar to what we're doing. And yeah, as soon as they have the confidence to do it, they put it out. So we'll see. It just depends on where the snow line ends up. But Euro's a model to watch right now, how on how uncertain it could be at this point. So like I said, time frame right now, I don't know how many times I gotta say it. After lunch on Tuesday to lunch on Wednesday at this point. Okay, all Tuesday evening, all Tuesday night, first part of Wednesday morning. Specific timing will be issued tomorrow. I was not confident enough putting it out tonight. It's not going to happen because there's too much uncertainty if this thing speeds up or it slows down and stuff like that. But let me make this clear. After lunch on Tuesday, after 12 p.m. on Tuesday, all the way to about lunch on Wednesday, that is the time frame. That's all of Tuesday night and first part of Wednesday morning for the potential of seeing winter weather. And that goes for the entire area that's at risk. Not just specific areas, but for the entire area at this point. So let me see here. And by the way, I don't do school con graphics. I may do that down the road, but I don't have that right now. So any chance that this could last all the way to Wednesday afternoon? I doubt it. We will see what ends up happening with that in terms of that. But I think with the system leaving out, but I doubt you'll see it lasting in the Wednesday afternoon. Probably first thing Wednesday morning. And then it should be out here by the time you get towards lunch on Wednesday at this time here. So let me see here. I'm going to go everything at this point. I think that's it for all the questions here. Yeah, Keith, I'm waiting for that. You know how the NAM is. It'll be Christmas before the NAM ends up completing with the 0Z guidance here. So I'll be real curious to see what it ends up doing. It's just now out to Monday, by the way. Don't get freaked out by that. Do not get freaked out by that because a lot of people probably saw that and are like, oh no, where did the snow go? It's just out to Monday afternoon right now here, but I'm curious to see what it's wanting to do Monday afternoon. We're about in the 40s right now, low 50s if you were to go with the NAM model. But I'm going to switch this over to the accumulation map, and I'm going to leave it like this until we get the 0Z data in at this point here. And that's the thing. Sarah, you're good. Like I said, I wasn't like harping you or anything like that. It was just trying to make it as clear as possible, because everybody's asking about timing right now, and I can't give you specific timing. As frustrating as it is, I can't give you specific timing right now. So that's all I was trying to do, is trying to make it as clear as possible. So, Nicholas, like I said before, this is that special time. If models were going to do it, it'd do it right now. So we'll keep an eye on the southern trend. That's why I haven't really kind of noted anything at this time. Michael, do I see your comment? Go ahead. At this point, I've got doctor's appointments on Tuesday, traveling from Forest City to Jonesboro that morning, but still have to get home after lunch. I think you're going to be good to go over there. You may experience some rainfall, especially close to the lunch time frame, but if you have any doctor's appointments, especially from Forest City up to Jonesboro, you're going to be good to go. This is going to be Tuesday night, first thing Wednesday morning when this comes through. So during the day, I'm going to show you guys right now, during the day on Tuesday, especially the first half during the morning, you're going to be good. For those that are wondering about school, I'd say during the day on Tuesday, we'll see. Depends on how fast the precipitation moves in. During the day on Wednesday schools will probably be canceled. It'll probably be northwestern Arkansas. But for right now, during the day on Tuesday, any school administrators right now, I would probably give you the green light, but we shall see what happens with the overall timing once we get closer. Megan, great question as well. Get ready for those huge snowflakes, and I'm talking probably those $half size or bigger. These are going to be very big snowflakes coming down as we get towards Tuesday night into Wednesday. This is one of those setups that you can get that heavy, wet snow that kind of set up, and it's going to be great for snowball fights and everything like that. So for folks over there in northwestern Arkansas, it's going to be that wet snow. It's not going to be anything dry about this, because your snow ratios are going to be from 5-to-1 to 8-to-1, which favors more liquid, which favors more of a heavy wet snow versus a dry snow at this current time here. So any predictions? North Little Rock is on the map at this point. Let me see here. When is snow supposed to start? Here in Little Rock, is it going to be Tuesday morning, evening? It's going to be evening. It's going to be Tuesday evening. Like I said before, if you're just now tuning in, that's perfectly fine. I'm not harping on anyone for asking timing. I'm just trying to make it as clear as possible. It's going to be after lunch on Tuesday Tuesday evening, a lot of people are going to be getting off work, stuff like that. It's going to be chaotic. I don't even want to imagine Tuesday evening right now. It's going to be very chaotic with precipitation moving in. Everybody's trying to get to the stores and stuff like that. That's why I'm asking you guys, do it tomorrow. Don't wait till Tuesday. Don't wait till Tuesday evening or Tuesday night. Get it done tomorrow, guys. Don't wait for it to happen. Be proactive. Get it done while you have the chance before it gets here. And like I said before, beyond this system, it's not going to be massively cold. It's not going to be a 2021 repeat where you had temperatures fall below zero and stuff like that. So just kind of keep that in mind at this point. Now, Ben, that was my initial concern. You have so much moisture, that's not going to be the case. Now, what it will do is it will keep the warm air advection from coming north and west. So even if the low does include back in Arkansas, if you have no warm air advection, all it will do, it will help you get further lift, and that's where I believe that's what the Euro's trying to throw out thunder snow potential. Like I said before, I'm not going to make a map about thunder snow right now. It's very, very rare to get it, especially here in Arkansas. We've seen it happen before in the past, but it's just too much uncertainty right now to get that happening here. But the storms on the Gulf Coast, I don't think it's going to rob our moisture, but it could limit that warm air advection from coming north, which will play a key role. My followers down there in southern and southeastern Arkansas at this time here. So, yeah, it's an Arkansas drive for about 5 to 10 minutes and pick whatever weather you want. You ain't kidding about that. So, how fast is the storm system going to be moving here? So, if snow starts at noon on Tuesday, how long do you think the snow will continue for us here? It's going to be a duration. I mean, once it gets started, it's not going to end until Wednesday morning for folks up there in northwestern Arkansas. That's why I'm urging you guys, don't wait till Tuesday night because you're not going to be able to get out Tuesday night. So get it done tomorrow and stuff like that. If you got to go to the grocery store, you got to have appointments or anything like that, either get it done tomorrow or try to delay it until later in the week. But Tuesday night, first thing Wednesday morning, I would not recommend travel. Somebody's going to still do it, but I wouldn't recommend travel at this point. So should we be concerned about power outages with the wet snow? If there were to be a power outage potential, it'd be in western Arkansas where you get the foot of heavy wet snow and it kind of weighs down the power lines if that were to be the case. But the power outage threat's not so significant for me to make a graphic about it right now here. But I'll keep an eye on it and address it once we get to tomorrow or tomorrow night at this time. So did the models update just yet? I haven't even looked with the NAM. I'm double checking it right now. As a matter of fact, I was today years old when I figured out that it could sync the latest. So never mind. So we're gonna leave it with that. So it's only after 27 hours right now. It's Monday night at this point. But I'll tell you this: it's getting cold at this point. So what time Wednesday morning will it all stop? I think it's gonna be, I'd say 9, 10 a.m. For much of the area. Still can see some snow flurries. First thing Wednesday morning, especially in North Arkansas, not spreading in central and southwest. Especially in North Arkansas, but it should be completely over with by lunch on Wednesday. So just kind of keep that in mind here. Cam, the new HRRR. I'm seeing a lot of people saying the HRRR update. Let's go take a look. Let's go take a look at this. Let's go take a look. Let's go see what it wants to do. And we're gonna switch this over to the 0Z. And like I said, this is the first time I'm even looking at it. So let's go take a look. I'm gonna switch this over and let's go look at it real quick. Okay, so this is what it's wanting to do. Let's take this out. This is Monday, by the way. And can we go further out into time? And there it is. There's the HRRR. Don't you love winter weather forecasting here in Arkansas? Don't you love it? So basically, the map that I have right now, the first look, would need to be tweaked a little bit. Heavy snow across Arkansas, across much of Arkansas. This is the latest 0Z right out of the gate, fresh out of the pizza box, HRRR, and that's what it's wanting to do. There you have it. There you have it. And we're gonna take a look. Like I said before, a lot of people are gonna get excited about this. Take it down a little bit, calm down a little bit. It's the HRRR, it's 48 hours out, so things can and will change. But let's take a look. Let's dive deep into this real quick. First off, I warned you guys about those temperatures. Look what happens during the day on Tuesday. You are struggling to get out of the 40s, and even in some cases, you're in the 30s. So I love the HRR and how cold it is immediately. No 50s being seen on Tuesday. That's awesome. And then by the time you get towards sunset on Tuesday, boy, you get the snow, especially across much of western and central Arkansas. I'm really curious to see what's wanting to do with the accumulations here. Boy, look at there. Look at there with the 0Z HRR coming out already. So there you have it. There you have it. There's the HRR coming out right now, especially from folks in central, the western, up to northern Arkansas here. It even gets into eastern Arkansas, and that's going to continue during the day on during the nighttime hours on Tuesday and the first part of your Wednesday morning here. So there's the HRR. Taking a look at it right now here. Yeah, curveball. And I got hit with a 100-mile-per-hour curveball with the HRR. But that's what it's wanting to do here. So the pink is sleet. I'm going to calm you guys down. It's not ice. It's not freezing rain. It's sleet. I'm not expecting any ice with this setup. I'm talking about freezing rain. You may see some sleet. But that's mainly sleet. I'm going to go over the sleet totals real quick and show you guys what that. Yeah, those are sleet totals. About an inch. Ooh, goodness. An inch of sleet. The HRR is going way out. I mean, look at here. Now, this is what I'm worried about. Because what happens is, and Cam, I talked about this in our chat, that during the day on Tuesday with the precipitation moving in, you start off as sleet and you immediately go over to snow. So I'll be very curious to see what ends up happening this. If that does happen, especially here in Little Rock, your travel conditions are going to go in the trash can. It's going to be disastrous because you have 1 inch of sleet laying the groundwork. I don't care if your ground temperatures are in the 50s. If you have sleet to fall, it's going to take forever for it to melt. And then you get snowfall on top of that. That could lead to some very dangerous travel conditions. So let's see what happens with the HRR. Keep an eye on it. But there is the HRR with its first look at what can happen on Tuesday. And boy, did it not disappoint, especially for our folks here in Central Arkansas. So something that we'll keep an eye on at this point. But like I said before, guys, that's the thing. It's not just sleet or anything. It is snow. Let's take a look at the snow real quickly here. Now, everybody just saw this. They're like, oh, man, I mean, look at here. Cam, I don't know if I'd buy this right out of the gate because you know how the HRR is 48 hours out. A half a foot of snow already south of Little Rock. We'll see. We'll see. Like I said before, it's just the HR. Let's I know how exciting it is. Let's bring it down a little bit. This is this is obviously gonna change, but there's his first look out of the gate by the time we get towards Tuesday evening here, guys. So if y'all have any more questions, please let me know. That's just at 6 p.m. as well. Event continues overnight. It'll be very interesting to see how trends go as it gets closer. Yeah, Michael, I said I haven't looked at the chat because I'm on the live stream right now, but I would definitely keep an eye on it at this point. And man, goodness gracious, a foot of snow along the Red River with the HRR did not come to play today, guys. It is definitely out there here. So let's see what ends up happening. I do believe it's kind of the blend between all the other model guidance right now with the NAM and the HR and everything. Now, what I am curious about, and we can take a look at this real quick. Now, I promise you guys, I'm not trying to intentionally delay the live stream or anything like that. But what I'm curious about is this. This is your area, your concern, your main storm system, and it's still suggesting that bowling ball area, but it's basically out into an open trough, which would be excellent for us here in Arkansas if you're trying to get the snow here. So let's take a look at your precipitation per 6 hours. And there's your low. I mean, first and foremost, look how far south your low is. This is how you get it here in Arkansas. There's your low right there. From base, that's Cameron, Louisiana, right there near Lake Charles. It will eventually go northeast. And then let's see if it tries to include. But right now, as it stands, Euro had the exact same idea with this setup here. As a matter of fact, let's go compare it to the exact same time frame here. And this is what the Euro wants to do. Now, the Euro is obviously a little bit further to the north, but it's similar to the same idea, same general area right here in southeast Texas, far southwestern Louisiana. So let's see what happens. We'll go from there. But that's 0Z coming out of the gate, right out of the gate with that here. So Let's see what happens with that here, guys. So it's going to be one of those events where someone gets a good bit, someone not see much at all. It's all about the low and the trading of precipitation. You nailed it right out of the gate, Lord. So, yeah, half a foot of snow out of the gate. Zach, I don't even know if I believe that right now, but it is the HR, and it cannot be ignored right now. We'll keep an eye on it at this point, and it could kind of alter our forecast a little bit, man. Like I said, 150-mile-per-hour curveball. I got hit smack in the face with the HRRR. So, can elevation going to help the totals over there in River Valley? I believe so. That will help you guys out over there. Now let's take a look at that real quickly here. Yeah, the sleet. Yeah, Richie, I agree with you. The sleet will put down a base and for the snow to accumulate on here. Like I said before, don't take the HRRR and run with it. Somebody's going to talk about it tonight. Don't take it and run off with it. But the future cast right now looks rather good. Let's go. We'll keep an eye on it at this point here. So don't you take our snow away from northwestern Arkansas. Oh, goodness. That's what the HRRR is trying to do. It's trying to, I've seen that setup before, where your low goes too far south. You have that dry air problem up here in northwestern Arkansas, and you guys get cut off. Like I said, HR, we'll keep an eye on it. I think you got too much moisture for that to happen, and your your ridge of high pressure is not as strong as it was back in 2021 and everything like that. So it shouldn't cut you off. By the way, much of this up here, northeastern Arkansas, North Arkansas, is snow, and this is snow as well. This is not rain. HR's configuration could be a little off, but you get the picture. Sleet down here would be a sleet storm across the board, but it will transition over to snow. Don't worry. It's not going to be a massive ice event, but I'd keep an eye on that at this point here, at this time. No freezing rain, but maybe sleet and snow with this. So let me see here. So why is the precipitation shield so large with this? It's just because of how much moisture and how much lift you have with this system. This is a very powerful system coming in, and I will say this. You get the HRRR to trend. You get that bad boy to trend, and you'll get a winter storm watch here in central Arkansas. So we'll keep an eye on that. But like I said, 0Z's coming out, guns blazing right out of the gate here. So at what point do you anticipate to have a more confidence forecast? Next 24 hours. Next 24 hours, we'll have a better forecast at this point. So, yeah, no, sorry, WA, poor Eastern Arkansas folks deserve it. Oh, goodness. Like I said, I'm not going to rule it out up there in northwestern Arkansas. You guys are fine. It's 100% you're good, but I have seen situations. That's why I tell people all the time, don't hype up northwest Arkansas because you could jinx them and they end up not seeing anything. So we'll see. Northwest Arkansas, you're still good. The winter storm watch is still good. Everything like that. This is one particular model, but HR is coming in hot and heavy at this time here, guys. So I think that's it for all the questions. I'm not really seeing any more questions here, guys. To answer this one, let me see. Yes, Hope is still gonna. We'll watch Hope closely at this time. So I don't like the sleet. I need a refund. Holy snow. Nice so far. I would not be shocked, especially during the late morning hours into the early afternoon on Tuesday, as the moisture is beginning to come in, that you do have a brief period of sleet, but this will quickly transition over to snow. And I'm gonna tell you this right now. Where that sleet line ends, I would say that's roughly from Texarkana to Pine Bluff to Arkansas County to Memphis. North of that will transition over to snow, and I mean, boy, the HRRR verifies Central Arkansas, North Arkansas, Western Arkansas. You might want to get ready. So we'll keep an eye on here over the next 24 hours. But boy, did it come out guns a-blazing with this one here. So. Is that green up there in northeastern Arkansas? I think it probably end up being snow. It's just the configuration on here is weird. So let me see here. I think that is mainly it for everything like that. When everyone is buying the milk, there's always plenty of almond. I like almond milk. I think it's pretty good. And the lactose people left without lactose milk left for us lactose people. Oh goodness. Let me see here. We've got mentioned Discord link. Now, here's what we're going to do with the Discord link before I hop off of here. The Discord link is going to be transformed. So, basically, I'm going to give credit to Derek on this one. The Facebook group has really helped out getting away from the algorithm because you guys are able to get notified via the Facebook group. So we're kind of deferring everyone to there. Now the Discord is still there, but what we're going to do with Discord is going to be transformed into our automatic watches and warnings. So I would still use it. Stuff like that is awesome. It doesn't mean we're leaving Facebook, but the main page is still going to get posted on. The Facebook group is going to get posted on a lot. And also Discord, we're not really going to be posting on Discord. It's just going to be mainly used for like radar, automatic watches, and warnings, especially during severe weather events and everything like that. So that's the biggest thing we've done because it was confusing a lot of people. And we just said the Facebook group was getting away from the algorithm. A lot of people seen all of our posts on there. So we're going to do that. But yeah, the Discord link will be posted for you guys to check that out here. But what I may end up doing for a few days, especially after Tuesday, I may kind of close it off while we're still doing that transforming thing on Discord. And then it may reopen by the time we get towards like this weekend or something like that. So let me see here. Follow that sleep line from West Central. Look at that, from West Central Texas all the way up. Euro did not come to play with this one here. So let me see here. I think that is it in terms of all the questions right now here. So I've seen that for me. You guys don't so excited, don't show it. And look, he had to see. You had to show it as soon as you saw the HR. I know. I had to see it. I had to see it. I had to see. Everybody was talking about it. I had to look and see what it was trying to do here. So let me see here. Let me take a look at everything right now. I think that's it for all the questions, guys. Oh, Edward, nice to meet you, by the way, from Canada. Toronto, Canada. That's how far our reach goes out right now. So I think that's it, guys. That's all I got for you guys this evening. I've been live for almost an hour and a half. We're going to have more information on the page throughout the day tomorrow. We have all the information throughout the day tomorrow, going over everything at this point. I will say probably tomorrow afternoon or something like that, we'll have another live stream, or if 7 o'clock works for everybody, we'll probably do it at 7 o'clock tomorrow night, going over the latest information and everything like that. So we'll continue to keep you guys updated right here in your source for all things Arkansas weather.